topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Welcome to the Ask the Expert Show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV, where we bring you educational information from experts on such topics as legal, health, financial, and home improvement. Now sit back and listen to our experts in community association law, estate planning law, tax relief, Medicare, public insurance adjusters, neuropathy treatment, business brokers, and personal injury law, along with many other topics. Now here's your host for the last 17 years, Steve O.
Morning, welcome to another Ask the Experts radio show where we bring you, I am telling you, we have the top experts in the field of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. I have to give you a little background about our next expert. You heard we've been doing this for 17 years, and we want to welcome our TikTok audience. I got to tell you, we are on 70 platforms. That's a lot for one show to be on. But we have a show that we're doing this morning on tax relief. And the reason why I wanted to share this with you is, you know, when you've been doing this for 17 years, you know what works and what doesn't work. We have taken this show. We did one show for Missouri and Tennessee, and then we started a second show for the San Antonio area, and then we grew into a national show. And we looked at the national numbers and went, whoa, look at the numbers. And now that we have TikTok, it's even stronger, but now we have made all three shows national shows because the Lance Drury Law Firm handles cases from all over the United States. What we want to do with this show, and we are doing it, is I want to teach you, and you're going to hear it from Lance, not to try to take on the IRS by yourself because you are going to dig a hole. So let me introduce you. My favorite, I am so happy that we have the Lance Drury Law Firm. Good morning, Lance.
Good morning, Steve. What a way to start the week. I'm here with you, and I want everybody to know I'm in St. Genevieve. My legal assistant, Donna Dunsey, for 15 years. She worked for me prior, back in the 90s, running 8 public defender offices. She's retired. We're doing her retirement party tonight. I've got all my lawyers here from Oklahoma City, from Orlando, Florida, from Nashville, Tennessee, and San Antonio, Texas. And everybody's here except my guy from Orlando because his flight got canceled in Atlanta yesterday, but he'll be here by 11 o'clock today. We're going to have a great time today. Some of these people have never met each other. And I've been wanting to do this for years, and I've finally done it. And we're going to have about 40 people. The restaurant is opening up, the Anvil Restaurant in St. Genevieve, just for us tonight. We're going to have Donna's family and friends. All 13 people in this law firm will be there. Some past employees. Donna's family will be there. And we're going to honor Donna Dunsey tonight.
So nice. Hey, tell her from us, because, you know, I worked with her. She was always so prompt with everything she did. And just tell her how much we appreciate her also. Lance, so are you your new Oklahoma City attorney? What office will he cover? Because, we, with your show, we get letters from all over Oklahoma.
Well, she won't be in Oklahoma. She's going to work remotely in Oklahoma, but the game plan is, and we discussed this when we interviewed her, that eventually She's going to move to Houston, Texas, and man that
Hmm.
office there. We have big plans for Houston, Texas. We opened in January, but I'm going to spend some time down there probably in August or September. I can't do it right away because I got to have bunion surgery, Steve. And that's been put
Oh,
off
no.
yeah, and probably until July. And the recovery is going to be 2 to 4 weeks. But I open a door from my apartment right outside my bedroom, and I'm in the office. So maybe for the first day or two, the pain will be such that I won't be in here, but I'll have it done on a Wednesday. By that Monday, I'll be in here.
Lance, I got to compliment you. There's so many things I want to compliment you on, but it just about every week that we talk, you're always meeting somebody on a Saturday, whereas most offices aren't even open on a Saturday. And here you are out meeting potential new clients on a Saturday. I just, hats off to you.
Well, I got to tell you, Steve, last Saturday, I kind of slept in. I didn't get up at 4:45 like I've been getting up because I wanted to watch the basketball game. And I never stayed up
Yes.
till 2 o'clock at night, but I didn't get up till 7 in the morning, and I worked for a couple hours here. Then I drove to my St. Louis office, which is an hour away, and I met a prospective client, and I met a current client who needed additional services. And, I go up there almost every Saturday because the problem is it's a Regis. Up there, I just have a room. We have a common reception area for a bunch of people. But the problem is they can't get anybody to work, so they don't do what they used to do. And some of these documents are time sensitive. Sometimes I even have to go up during the week, but I go up almost every Saturday, if for no other reason, to pick up documents. But invariably, there's 1 or 2 or 3 people that I'm going to meet anyway, because Uncle Sam, Steve, is coming after people left and right now. They're using artificial intelligence. And here's what your people need to know. Everybody out there listening, I want you to know in 2025, Uncle Sam collected twice as much money from delinquent taxpayers as in 2024. They're coming after people. They're using artificial intelligence. And the time frames between those nasty letters before they can levy you, the time frame is collapsing, so it's happening much quicker. So you don't want to delay if you owe taxes to Uncle Sam, because if you do, it's not going to be pretty.
Hey, Lance, we got 3 letters. We start promoting each one of your shows about 3 days out, and I've gotten 3 letters over the weekend, and I want to just share. Here's a problem that people have. There's a lot of people who have signed up from these big, and you're a national firm. I don't want people to misunderstand, but there's these big, you see these big TV commercials. They're spending millions of dollars. And there's so many of those people, Lance, who have been ripped off. And so they think all the firms out there are going to rip them off. And I really want you to address that, because there's a lot of people who need help, and they don't think that there's any great firms out there like the Lance Drury law firm.
Well, it is true, Steve, that we take people from all over, but we're primarily relegated to Missouri, Southern Illinois, Tennessee, and Texas for now. Now that's going to grow, and we do get people out of California, out of New York, out of Florida, but we don't actively market in those areas. But you're absolutely right. The hardest thing to do is try to convince somebody to hire my services after they've been burned by one of these national firms. I tell everybody, if you don't hire my firm, there's 3 rules. Hire an attorney that does this every single day. Accountants are great with the numbers, but they just dabble in it because 90% of what they do is tax preparation. It's not dealing with the IRS. We spend 50 to 100 hours or more every year just keeping up with this stuff. Secondly, go local. We have attorneys all over in these offices. And number three, don't hire one of the big boys. There's a lot of scam artists out there. You get a salesman, you get an attorney up front with us in the initial consult. I've been talked to about getting a salesperson to do the initial consults, but I don't want to do that. I think that's a little inauthentic. And so, I tell people, don't hire one of the big boys because they just take your money. They keep asking you for money. They never tell you what it's going to cost. They don't do the work, and then they come to me.
Hey, here's a good question. This is, I don't think anyone's ever asked this question. This is from Lester in El Paso. I'm really enjoying your show. What do I do if my ex-spouse caused my tax problems?
Well, if your ex-spouse caused your tax problems, guess what? If you file jointly, it's your problem as well. Because it doesn't matter if it came from their business or they didn't withhold enough money. If you file jointly, it's now your problem. And if you don't do something about it, they can wipe out your bank account, take 90% of your take-home pay, take 100% of your 1099s. So you have to deal with it. Now, and I can't answer this question in just a couple minutes, but you might have an innocent spouse defense. That's one of the things we'll explore during an initial consult and if you hire us thereafter. But, just because your spouse called the problem, if you signed a joint return, it's your problem as well. I mean, some time ago, we're very successful. This woman had her husband had a business, a restaurant and a bowling alley, and he never shared any financial stuff with her. The liability was over $100,000. She hired us. She had to pay, $10,000 or more. But guess what? We raised an innocent spouse defense. She never paid a dime. But one of the things is she got divorced from the guy. All of these allegations were in her divorce pleadings. So we were able to build a very strong case. We do that for a lot of people. That's just one example. Steve, I got to tell you, and this is one of the things I'm going to talk about tonight. It's in my speech for Donna. When Donna came to me 15 years ago, we had 60 clients. Now we represent almost 1,000 clients at any one time. I'm 72 years old. We got to be doing something right, because if we were doing shoddy work, I'd be retired, but we're a 4.7 out of 5 in St. Louis Google reviews. We're a 4.9 out of 5 in Nashville. We just had a guy in San Antonio, went to another attorney, and I met with him a year ago last September, and I talked to him for 45 minutes. He had an attorney out of Houston, and the guy had a satellite office in San Antonio, and he said, the guy's not talking to me. He's not talking to the auditor. I sat down with him for 45 minutes. He was so thankful. He said, nobody explained to me what a notice of deficiency was. Nobody explained to me about U.S. tax court. I told him, go back to the guy. From what I knew, the guy was a good guy. I'd heard the name, never met him. I had never heard any complaints about him. But I said, if you have problems down the road, get a hold of us. So a year later, he calls me. He said, I talked to the auditor. The guy is he's not communicating. So he hired us. We went down for an audit for 2 days. And from the preliminary findings, we saved him almost $200,000 just on the audit. We haven't even talked about a resolution yet. That's just from the audit. So the money he has spent has been well worthwhile, and we're getting his problem resolved for him.
Here's from Greg in New Orleans. He said, I am a business owner. Anybody who owns a business, medium size or small, should be watching all of your tax relief shows. Hey, I agree with that. My question is, can the IRS seize my bank account without notifying me first?
The answer is no. And I got to tell you, 70% or more of my clients are small business owners. Those are the people that get in trouble because the taxes aren't automatically taken out. Everybody thinks it's the American dream, but it's not. You know, most small businesses don't make a lot of money. And then guess what? Somebody doesn't pay them. So to keep the business going, they pay their suppliers, they pay their employees. They don't pay the IRS, and they think they're going to catch up with payroll taxes next quarter, and it just snowballs. So no, the IRS has to give you prior notice. There's a sequence of letters that the IRS has to send you. And just because they don't levy you from the first nasty letter doesn't mean you can ignore that, because eventually you ignore those letters. That last one, you got 30 days. If you don't do anything in that 30-day time frame, they can levy you, which means they can wipe out your bank account, they can seize equipment, they can seize your accounts receivable, and that generally destroys your business because those people don't want to do business with somebody that's got IRS problems. They don't want to go through the paperwork and all that. So the short answer is no, they have to give you prior notice. Before 1998, they did not have to give you that notice, but in 1998, Bill Clinton and a Republican Congress passed all these safeguards for taxpayers. You have due process rights. That created the industry that I'm in now. So, you know, you've got to get those prior notices, but don't wait, because penalties and interest are going up every single day. And Steve, if you and I charge what they charge for penalties and interest, we'd be in the federal clink. So you don't want to wait on this. Don't put your head in the sand. Get your problem resolved.
Here's a email from the Houston area, Galveston. Stan, he said, I'm so glad you have such a great attorney explaining how the IRS works. I want to know, can the IRS collect from me forever?
No, the IRS cannot collect from you forever. There is a collection statute expiration date. In our lingo, we call them the CSED, CSED, which is short for collection statute expiration date. Generally, it's 10 years from the date the tax is assessed. And that's normally when the tax is filed, and then you get an assessment notice from the IRS. And so it's 10 years, but there are so many things that can stop the running of the statute on collections that for each tax liability period for which you owe, we have to calculate what the last day is, because it's very seldom just 10 years. So yeah, the IRS cannot collect against you forever. And that's one of the things that we look at, because the IRS does not have enough people. If you're within 2 years of that collection statute expiration date, some of the time we will just ride it out until that comes, because especially if you owe a lot of money, the IRS is never going to be able to collect it all in that amount of time. I would say 10 to 15% of the time we can ride out the collection statute expiration date, but it is limited to certain cases. Obviously, the newer your tax liability, the less likely you're going to be able to run out the clock.
Well, here's a great text just came in from Craig in Albuquerque. He said, I love your show. He said, it's amazing. I see these national commercials, these 60-second commercials. How much can you say in 60 seconds? I love a show like this that actually educates us. He says, will the IRS go to my employer or customers?
Yes. And, you know, one of the things that I said is if they levy against you, you're a small businessman, they will go after your customers to try to get any monies that they owe to you. So you don't want to do that. The other thing, they'll send out a farm letter saying, oh, we're going to talk to your neighbors or your family or whatever. It's a farm letter. People really get upset about it, but they're not going to do that unless they have reason to know that those people have information about your financial situation. So if you own a small business, it is a real danger that you don't want to get levied, because particularly if you have recurring people who pay you. Now, if you're in a business and the customers are new all the time, the IRS isn't going to know that. But they will go after these recurring customers because they've already got information on them. So it is a real danger to businesses that have recurring customers. So you don't want to mess with this. You want to get it taken care of. It's never a good idea to try to deal with the IRS, to put your head in the sand, unless the collection statute is going to run out within the next year and a half or so.
Lance, I want to end the show with probably one of the most important questions. You know, you understand when a person has the IRS on their back, it is the worst feeling in the world. So when a client signs up with your firm, they no longer have to talk to the IRS. And you've taught everybody on the show, when you're talking to the IRS, you could be making things worse. You know what to say to the IRS and what not to say. And I'm telling you, if you want to get this big monkey off your back, signing up with Lance's firm is going to do that. Right, Lance?
Absolutely. And in fact, not only do we not want you to talk to the IRS, we make it a condition of our continued employment with you that you not talk to the IRS, because then we don't know what's going on. And what happens is we talk to the IRS, then they'll say, well, I told your client this, the client denies it. And we can't argue with the IRS because we're not privy to that conversation. And the other thing is, talking to the IRS when you have tax problems is like talking to the cops when you're accused of a crime. It's not a very good idea. What we tell the IRS they can't hold against you. We stand between you and the IRS. We are the people who are saving Fay Ray from the clutches of King Kong. We're saving you from the big bad wolf. That's what we do every single day, Steve. And I hope I'm doing that for 10 more years, because I'm only 72, Steve.
Anybody at 72 who still works on a Saturday is tops in my book. That's for sure. Well, listen, enjoy your party tonight. What a great cause for Donna. And again, tell her how much we appreciate her. If you want to get a hold of Lance's office, no matter where you are, 888-367-6512, 888-367-6512. You have a website too, right, Lance?
Yes, it's lancedrurylaw.com. You can go on there, see the testimonials, see the books I've co-authored, the awards I've won, the speeches I've given across the country. There's a lot of great free information on there. And you can find out all the telephone numbers, the local telephone numbers for all our offices. We'd love to have you as a client. We like to take care of our clients. That's what we do. That's why I don't want to quit, Steve. It's my purpose in life to help as many people as possible against the federal government. So we want to keep it up, and we want to help more people.
Lance, I got to tell you, you are God sent. Thank you for all you do, for your great information. Lance is going to be with us the last Friday of this month at 2:00 Eastern time. We are setting up his third show, which will be in the middle of this month. Lance, thank you so much. Keep fighting the good fight.
I plan on it, Steve.
Okay, thank you. It's attorney Lance Drury of the Lance Drury Law Firm. Folks, that's going to do it for us today. Hey, tune in tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern time for our political show. We'll see you this evening, and we'll also be back in with you next week with more Ask the Experts.
Thanks for tuning in today to the Ask the Expert show on W4CY Radio and Talk4 TV. Tune in next week and every week to hear more from our experts on personal injury, insurance, air condition repairs, estate planning, Medicare, and many other topics in the areas of legal, health, financial, and home improvement. See you next week.